So the other day, I was watching Transformers 1 with a friend who didn't get the chance to see it in theaters with me. And after we finished, he asked me about Transformers Rise of the Beast. And I was kind of like, holy crap, I forgot that movie existed. I already made a video talking about this feeling I have with the Transformers franchise in general. And that feeling is that it's totally scattered, unfocused, all over the place. And our experiences as Transformers fans are not as good as they could be because of that. I mean, the fact that Transformers Rise of the Beast comes out in 2023 ends in a cliffhanger, but instead of getting a sequel to it, we get a whole different continuity in the form of Transformers 1, which also teases a sequel at the end of it. And then all the while, we have a totally different continuity of a TV show in the form of Earthspark airing or on Paramount Plus. All the while, the toy lines are kind of just celebrating all 40 years of Transformers, and the studio series line is still catching up to some characters from the Bumblebee movie that hasn't been completed yet in terms of figures. All the while, Transformers Reactivate, a video game that we have one teaser trailer for, has multiple figures out that you can buy for a year, and the status of that game is just in total limbo. I think all of that illustrates what I mean when I say that the Transformers line is kind of unfocused, kind of all over the place. There's so many stories and movies and games happening at any one time that don't have anything to do with each other. It's easy to forget a major motion live action picture with Peter Cullen even existed, which is kind of crazy and kind of sad in my opinion. But anyways, that's a general problem with the brand, not specific to Rise of the Beast. But it is that problem that makes me want to make this standalone Rise of the Beast video right now, because I feel like it's been a little bit forgotten about. So with that out of the way, I'm just going to ramble a little bit about what I thought of Rise of the Beast on a repeat viewing over a year after I had kind of forgotten about it. So just overall, I think the movie is pretty solid. It's not my favorite Transformers movie, and is far from my least favorite as well. Way more coherent in every way, in my opinion, than The Last Knight and Age of Extinction. Far less exciting than the huge action sequences of the first three live-action movies. It does have a little bit of that wholesome, kid-friendly spirit that Bumblebee and now Transformers 1 have, but it doesn't quite achieve that as well either. So in terms of theatrical Transformers movies, it's kind of a middle-of-the-road movie for me. But yeah, upon rewatching it, I was like, holy crap, I forgot this movie has Unicron in it. The fact that we got a true live-action Unicron in planet-eating form consuming a planet to me is crazy. If you had told me that was going to happen in 2007, my 10-year-old or whatever mind would have exploded. I would have been so excited for it. I don't hate the opening of this movie with Ape Link and stuff. I think it's actually very solid. I think the scene where Scourge is being seen through the trees and you can just kind of see the glowing red inside of his chest is really cool looking. The CG looks great. The action is great. The voice performances of everyone in this movie is really solid, even though I, of course, would have preferred that we get Gary Chalk as Optimus Primal. I think Ron Perlman did a fine job. All those years with the Bay movies, and people were just always talking about wanting to have more humanless scenes, Transformer on Transformer scenes. And that's the entire opening to this movie. And really, there's a lot of that in this movie, which is another reason to love it and revisit it from time to time. So yeah, I like that opening scene. Unicron is pretty cool in it. The fact that you can hear motifs from Unicron's original 86 theme has always been cool to me. And then we get to Earth, and the movie just kind of really slows down to introduce us to the human characters, which I appreciate. And it's just one of those things in the movie that really works well on paper, and you can't really point out things that are going wrong while you're watching it, but there's also nothing stellar about it. So when I kind of go back to it, I'm not super excited by any of those beats in the beginning when you're being introduced to the humans, but I'm also not dreading it, wanting to skip it like I am with some scenes in Revenge of the Fallen, for example, with Sam at college and stuff like that. I like that Noah is fighting for his brother and wanting to be a good role model for him. I'm someone who's kind of contrarian in the Transformers fan base, where I think humans are actually really good if done right. That's not to say that you can't tell a great story without humans. I mean, Beast Wars exists and it's one of the best Transformers shows, but I also don't just hate humans every time they show up. And I think that Transformers is stronger when you draw parallels between the human characters and the Transformers themselves, which this movie tries to do a little bit, and I really appreciate that. So yeah, Noah and his introduction to his brother are cool, nothing spectacular. Skip ahead to when things start moving with the Transformers again, and you get that awesome museum fight. And I think that fight is pretty stellar. That's probably my favorite action sequence in the movie, and if I'm going to rewatch this movie, I'm going to skip to that scene first probably and watch that. The choreography is great. All the Transformers feel very powerful. They still feel big and kind of clunky in the way that Bayformers did, but they also have some of that agility and actual easy to understand choreography that you see in the Bumblebee movie. I think it's a really great mix. It's also a lot better to me than the final battle, because the final battle kind of takes place in a gray in-game CGI scape, whereas this one feels a lot more rooted in actual live action footage in a real location in a real city. And even though the scale is quite small compared to the ending, it feels like more of an intense battle in a lot of ways. I also love the intensity of Optimus's crushing defeat in this battle. The only thing that really hurts that defeat is knowing that later in the movie, he just wins by being angrier or something like that. I do think the movie would have been a lot stronger if there was an actual reason why they could suddenly beat Scourge at the end, because at first he just feels borderline invincible, he feels super intimidating, and it feels awesome just like Lockdown and Age of Extinction did during parts of it, but there's no reason why Optimus beats him in the end compared to this initial fight. I wish they would have preserved like the scale of power, if you will, not to be like one of those power scaling nerds, but I think it's important that if you make a point that Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime is getting beat down by this guy, that there needs to be some reason why Peter Cullen's Optimus Prime is actually able to beat him in the end. Like, why did he get stronger? You could have at least had like some Power of the Matrix nonsense, or I don't know. That's definitely one of the big gripes I had with this movie initially, and it still peeves me to this day because no matter how awkward some of the human moments are, or how flat some of the CGI can feel in some of these Transformers movies, it's always fun to come back to them and just watch them as like big Transformer fighting movies. And for as much of a mess as Revenge of the Fallen is, I love rewatching specific scenes in that movie, watching the super awesome forest battle, and then watching Optimus come back with the aid of Jetfire, and then able to like take on Megatron and the Fallen in one fight. Like, at least there's like a clean outline of a story there where Optimus stands up to them, he gets beat down, he comes back, a fallen Decepticon warrior Jetfire joins forces with him, and now he's stronger, and he can not only beat Megatron, who beat him previously with like a dirty trick, but can also stand up to the Fallen. And I feel like it was right there for the taking in this movie. Like, Optimus Primal is right there. Just have Optimus Primal and Optimus Prime team up, which is something fans always wanted to see, and take down Scourge together. Like, Optimus couldn't beat him alone. Now he has Optimus Primal with him. Now they can defeat Scourge together. Optimus Primal, of course, has like a huge grudge against Scourge for destroying his home world and helping Unicron, killing Airraiser earlier in the movie. Optimus Prime is Optimus Prime. He gets to be part of the big victorious final battle. He has a grudge against killing Bumblebee. I don't see why they didn't go that route. They even had Noah kind of like armor up and stuff, but he doesn't make that much of a dent against Scourge in the movie. Like, yeah, he's fighting and stuff, and maybe he does a little bit, but it doesn't sell to me as like the reason Optimus wins. Okay, I didn't expect to talk about that much, so now I'm going to switch to like other topics in the movie. Yeah, this is really just me kind of rambling after rewatching it. I didn't have any structure to this. Bumblebee dying is something that kind of sucks in this movie. It is fun when he comes back, and I'm sure that this absolutely ruled some kid's world, and that probably makes it worth it. But the fact that we saw in the trailers him fighting in the final battle definitely made it so that it wasn't even impactful on the first viewing, and in subsequent viewings when he dies, I'm just kind of like, who cares? And the fact that we also saw Scourge like cut somebody in half almost and do way more brutal things, and then we just see him kind of like electric shock Bumblebee to death. I always thought that was a little bit awkward. That was something I would have cleaned up as well. Like, at least have one of the henchmen take out Bumblebee while Scourge kind of like nullifies him or something, or have Bumblebee be like crushed at the bottom of the lake or something, and then they retrieve him and he's no longer alive, or something like that. I just think it's kind of whack. It just kind of ruins the tension of the scene that Scourge defeats him in such a weak way, after already showing like way more brutal, impressive stuff that Scourge does without hesitation. Something that's really cool about this movie is Stratosphere. He's just kind of there. He's huge. The CG when he shows up looks really great. It is kind of weird that such a big, huge, bulking Autobot is there in the movie but doesn't participate in the final fight. I guess he kind of does in the sense that he drops off Bumblebee, and they kind of sell the idea that he's old. But given that there's like such a big army in front of them, it seems weird that he doesn't even like pick up a gun and try to help shoot some enemies from afar or something. But it is cool that he's there. I can't wait to get a figure of him in like 15 years. What else? Mirage. Mirage is really cool in this movie, and I forgot how much personality he has. And it's hard for me to talk about this without going back to that pet peeve about the Transformers brand being like all over the place. But something that made me think about that again is Mirage, because he has so much personality in this. He's clearly like the main Autobot character of the movie besides Optimus or alongside Optimus. And yet it hasn't like amounted to anything in the Transformers world, I feel like. Like, his figure was very so-so. He's not like plastered on anything anymore. We immediately switched from him being on a lot of stuff back to Orion Pax, RC, D16 Megatron, and B127 or Bumblebee being on everything for Transformers 1. And yeah, it's kind of a shame because Mirage is actually pretty cool in this movie. His design is pretty cool in my opinion. I would have liked to see another go-around for Mirage in a subsequent movie or something, and it would be cool to see that character adapted into a show in the future, maybe like how Cyberverse took a little bit of everything. We could have that version of Mirage show up again. But yeah, I mean, we'll see if he ever shows up again in something like that, or the sequel to this movie if we ever get that. Maybe this video will move the needle on the likelihood of a sequel, who knows. Oh yeah, back to that ending and the whole reason for Optimus to beat Scourge. It also seems clear that at some point, there was a version of the movie where Optimus might have died against Unicron. And again, continuity be damned, who cares? There's like a million continuities going on in Transformers at any one time. But they probably didn't want to do that just for the sake of like tying this to future projects, especially with the G.I. Joe stinger at the end of it, but I can't help but think that might have been a more interesting version of the movie. I just saw the new Captain America 4, and to me it was laughably bad how obvious it was that there was like a clear point in the final battle with Red Hulk where the screen cuts to black and then comes back and it's all like on a green screen soundstage. And it's so clear that this is just like one rushed ending of the movie amongst many possible endings of the movie, and probably some that were more bold. Like, I think it's clear that at some point Ross was supposed to die in that movie, a la Optimus in Rise of the Beasts, but they didn't want to commit to that, and instead you get like this super rushed, awkward, like everyone's happy, kinda. I mean, they at least put him in prison, but still. And then it's laughably bad the way the dialogue is delivered to Ross outside the prison cell. Like, hey, good of you to check yourself in prison and then sign this document and then do this and do this. We're not showing it because this wasn't supposed to be in the original ending. But now, audience, you know that all this happened. Like, Rise of the Beast wasn't that bad, but it still feels to me like they could have committed to something a bit more interesting. I also saw Ape Link's figure on shelves for the first time today, so it's kind of serendipitous that I'm making this video now. What else is there to say? A sequel. Do you guys want a sequel? I don't know if I want a sequel. I would definitely rather have the Transformers 1 sequel, if I'm being honest. The only thing that I really want out of a sequel here is just for another go-around of Peter Cullen Optimus while we can get it. It's always a pleasure to hear him voice Optimus Prime and to see the characters in live action. But even with that said, Transformers 1 was absolutely beautiful. It grows on me more every time I watch it. And I would definitely rather have that sequel than the G.I. Joe combo Transformers sequel. Or even if they dropped the G.I. Joe element, which I don't feel either way about, like, put him in there, don't put him in there, I don't care. I would still rather have the Transformers 1 sequel than the Rise of the Beast sequel. And I never thought I would have said that about a live-action Transformers movie compared to an animated one. Especially after the first trailer for Transformers 1, I was kind of like, I don't want this, I want that live-action, like, gritty, big, live-action, real Optimus Prime. But yeah, Transformers 1 sold me, it's great. And after rewatching Rise of the Beast, and after it kind of like fading from memory over a year, yeah, I guess I would just rather have something like Transformers 1, or really just something that's super thoughtful and does interesting things, rather than like a one-off adventure movie, which is what Transformers Rise of the Beast feels like. Rise of the Beast feels like a lot of recent MCU movies, or maybe like events in the Star Wars universe and some of the TV shows, where it's like interesting and entertaining while you're watching it. There are characters you love, there are characters who are, you know, like technically going through some growth, or they've like pose some question at the beginning of the movie that they then answer throughout the movie or show. But by the end of it, you're like, who cares? Like, it doesn't really feel like it impacts the long-term story of the franchise. Rise of the Beast is just this interesting little blip in the Transformers universe. And that's kind of why I wanted to rewatch it and make this video, because it's so weird to me that it just takes up like such a small amount of mind space now. I remember when this was like the only thing people could talk about, this design for Optimus, this specific figure. And it's like a great design. Again, Peter Cullen's Optimus in a more G1 body and glorious live action ILM CG, like awesome. And yet, yeah, now no one is talking about Rise of the Beast much, besides me in this video. What else do I have to say about it? Cheetor's in it, Rhinox is in it. Airazor's actually pretty cool. RC and her little glasses thing when she scans Noah, I thought that was tight. I love the way Optimus's entrance looks. Oh, the Transit Decepticon they cut. I really wish they would add that guy, because we need more public transit Transformers. It's kind of a shame that he's a Decepticon and a bad guy. In real life, I'm really big on like public transit and making sure that people have alternatives to like $1,000 personal vehicles to do simple things like get groceries and pick up their kids from school. Transformers, unfortunately, is connected to a system of executives who really want to make sure the world is built in a way that you need a car to do basic tasks and you need to pay them to own that car. I am very pro building a world where you at least have the option to take affordable public transit to other places, which means a lot less people might own some cars, and it means that there should be a lot more public transit Transformers to reflect that world. So the fact that the bus Transformer got cut is kind of a bummer. I hope we get like a figure of him someday, or that he shows up in like some other media. He looked really cool. But yeah, I don't know. I guess that's all I have to say about Transformers Rise of the Beast. I mean, it's kind of fitting that I don't have that much to say, because the whole point of this and the whole realization I had is like, no one's talking about this anymore, and it's just kind of a blip in the Transformers timeline. I don't know, what do you think about Transformers Rise of the Beast over a year later? Have you like completely forgotten about it because of Transformers 1? Or are there still some of you out there who still like adore this movie and really want a sequel to it? Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for more Transformers stuff.